We're live. We are live. I'm watching on my iPad too.
Oh, did you hear her?
Yeah.
That's because you coughed.
Touch you what?
That's because you coughed.
Hey, Skull. How are you today, sir?
Good, thank you.
Doing good, man. This is my first time using StreamYard, so trying that out. I like what I see so far. I see why so many people use it. Everything good, man? Everything sounds okay? Is the music too loud? Voice is a little soft, the music a little loud. Is that better, Skull? Maybe I need to turn my mic up a little bit or something. Testing, testing. Hello. Hello. Testing, testing. Hello. Cool. Thank you, man. Yeah, I hooked up some cameras so I can get some like a little bit of aquarium footage. Yeah, I don't know how many people is going to come on, but I'm excited. I like this StreamYard, man. It's pretty nice. I like how it's set up.
You're trying to steal treats. You're trying to steal those. Get up there. Get up there. What are you doing?
Pretty bird, pretty bird.
Is it good? Is it good? Good. 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 Where you going?
What are you up today, Skull? Get anything done in the fish room?
Easy. Easy, easy, easy. Easy, easy, easy. Yeah. Hey. What? Say hello?
Yeah, I got you on that, man. Always water on the floor. One thing about it, you can wipe it up and the floor stays clean, right?
What? Hello? What? Hello? Hello? Hello?
What a basement, so concrete, but still don't want to spill. Yeah, I got you, man. I miss having a basement when I lived up in PA a lot. Uh, if I had a basement and I still live in Pennsylvania, I'd definitely have all my tanks down there for sure. Even if you had, I don't know, God forbid, a tank burst for some dang reason or something, you could rush around pick your fish up, but you don't have to worry about a bunch of water through your house. So I envy you having a basement.
What are you doing? Hello? Hello? Look at you turn around and show your butt. Turn around. Turn around. That's my hair. That's my hair. Thank you.
Vinoski, what's up, man? Thanks for stopping by. Is Kiko on you?
Yeah, she is. Right there. Right here. Turn around. She's in my hair.
Jeff says, hello, everyone. I thought the notification was a 30-minute warning. Ah, what's Jeff up to today, man? You working in the fish room? Skull's doing water changes, trying not to make a mess.
Keeks. Oh, where'd you go?
That bird's being noisy.
That's what she does. And she flies. Come on. Come here. Come on. Come on.
Hey, buddy, glad you came in.
Hey, bunny. Come on. Come here. Get up here. Get over here. Come here. Come on.
Funny, you try turning your phone sideways. Makes the screen bigger, but I know you already knew that. Yeah, Jeff, I always forget that Corey always goes live on Aquarium Co-op Sundays 3 o'clock. I like I like them guys. I don't know what it is, man. I don't really watch his live streams. Tank Aquatic. Yes, you got it right. That's Quaker Parrot.
Oh.
Still can't read names. Well, it's kind of small. Unless I do the spotlight configuration, you probably can see it a little better there.
Look at you dancing. Look at you dancing.
You can't.
She's
You can't.
dancing. Where you going? Oh, coming back up with your arm. Come here.
Jeff selling the angelfish. I like angelfish, man. I like them a lot. They remind me of like I always call them the squirrels of the fish world. Because if you ever watch a squirrel move, they're real robotronic and everything moves so tight. And angelfish are kind of like that, like real squirrels of the fish world. Tank test wild. Well, let's put it up. I'm not used to this. Go ahead and catch some for us, Tank.
Yeah, that's dangerous. That's why they're illegal in a lot of states. You bite me? What are you doing? Come here. Come here. What are you doing?
Jeff, yes, it's my wife. Her name's Heather.
Hello, Jeff. They're illegal in Pennsylvania also. Somewhere else too.
Yeah. I was telling Heather, I was like, well, maybe we got to move back to Pennsylvania. She's like, I can't take my birds. And I was like, well, you know, what they know don't hurt them. But then she brought up a good point. If they need to go to the vet, which they need to go for their yearly checkups, they're going to find out.
And they euthanize them. It's sad. Hi, Squall.
Kiko there and me never really going along. For some reason, she hates me. But as of the last couple of weeks, we've been taking time and working with her, and she's starting to get to like me a little bit more.
Yay, huh, babe? Yay.
Jeff, we're in North Carolina. Yeah. You see what Tank said here, Heather, babe?
What?
I put it up.
Oh, wow. Where are you at? Why would it be illegal? Oh, Connecticut. Wow.
Yeah, you did just say that.
Yeah, I see that. I read down further and I saw that.
Hey, Lovey, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. How's things in Germany?
What are you doing? Give me a kiss. Kiss. Oh, keep on this pet in the state says that. I say no. Yeah, I think they're illegal there to have as pets.
Cold and wet in Germany. What time is it there, Lovey? Lovey.
Oh, you scared me.
Jesus.
$8.50.
8:50 p.m. It's 3:51 here. Find it amazing that parrots like to like this survive our winters. Yeah, and yeah, I don't even know how that's possible. Usually birds fly away for the winter, so I don't know how. I don't know. Maybe, babe, you know how that's possible?
Well, they do make homes. They make nests.
Yeah, I'm happy you caught the live stream too, Lovey.
Sounds like a pet. Yeah, it does. Did you see that? What Bunny said? Sounds like a pet pterodactyl.
Oh yeah, she is a vicious pterodactyl. Things are starting to calm down now. She's getting to like me a little bit more slowly, but she's never really appreciated me, Bunny. So
She constantly makes that noise when she flies. She
sounds like
don't fly quiet.
it reminds me of a crow.
Mm-hmm. She does not fly quietly. Come here. Come on. She's decided to go up on her play.
Where's she at now?
Mhm.
Not all birds are naturally migratory. Some never had a reason to. Yeah, I guess so. When I think about that, Jeff, never really thought about it that way. I just figured they all left and came back.
Especially parrots.
Come here. Lay on Buffy. Come here. Oh.
So what's everybody doing today on their Sunday? Anything in the fish room? Catching up on house chores? Where I live, we have African storks that migrate here and back to Africa every year. Oh, that's very cool. Sounds like if it's a stork, I'm assuming it's a pretty big bird. Is that right?
Shh. Easy. What? Don't want to be on the show anymore? Huh? Are you done?
Did we lose her camera? Yeah.
She's on my leg. Oh.
Music. Swans winter in Wisconsin if they can find open water. Lovey's polishing up her latest video, testing water parameters and cleaning up a bit today. How often do you do water changes, Lovey? They're pretty large. Their nests are absolutely huge. Okay, that's what I figured. Anytime I hear the word stork, I'm pretty sure that's a fairly large bird.
Give me a girl. Come here. Come on.
Swans are pretty big bird too, Jeff.
Get over here.
Five feet tall with a wingspan of 8.5 feet is a massive bird. Ain't gonna keep one of them in your cage. Yeah, tanked. Well, my tiger barbs are almost 2 inches. Gardaki, thanks for stopping by. How are you?
Come here. Come see me. Come here.
I want to go back here.
Keep over here. You playing Barbie.
Not too very often. My tanks are largely self-sustaining. I'll top them off and test them every week or so. So I'm assuming you're creating self-managed like ecosystems. So you're putting in a lot of botanicals, and you probably have deep substrates. I'm assuming. Gardaki's playground. Glad you came in, man. They said the fry grow out tank needs more maintenance, but I have floaters on them too. That's not too bad. You probably have a ton of plants in your tanks too, right, Libby?
What? Okay. What are you doing? Hey, yo. Hey, yo. You hissing at me? You hissing? Is that good? What do you mean? Ow? Hey.
Moderately deep. I like to add more substrate next time I rescape. I think I have lots of different plants, and a cleaner fish helps a lot. Yeah. So when you're saying you add more substrate. Oh, okay. When you rescape, okay. So what do you do? Just add a little bit more time. What's the maximum depth of a substrate you're trying to get to, Lovey? Yeah, they're good little aerators. Gardaki's a big fan of deep substrate. It's good, man. Yeah, deep substrate's definitely a good thing. You got a good bed there for good bacteria to colonize on for sure. But you know, and you look at the other guys like DIY King and several of these other guys that do bare bottom tanks, or just tile them so they have an easier time cleaning up. But I think most of them times, obviously, they're keeping much larger fish like their stingrays and fish like Oscars and arowanas and stuff like that.
Easy. Easy. Why do you do that? I got a thing for my cuticles.
My Community 125 has a slope substrate, so it's thicker on the back and the front. Okay, so front to back thick. Very cool.
Easy. You're hurting me. What are you doing?
And I'm assuming you're using sand, Lovey. Everybody in here, you got sand or gravel?
What are you doing? AC. Look. Look what you did. You gave me bleed.
What do you mean by that, Jeff? Fish keeping style plays into deep versus no substrate. Yeah. Tanked aquatics. I just literally trying that for the first time. I had a 29-gallon tank, and I filled it with the what you call it, organic soil, and then I capped it off with like 3 inches or so of sand. And I mainly did it to start growing some plants for myself, as I'm trying to grow my jungle bough so I don't have to buy any. I just set this thing up like last week, so I got some other plants in there I'm trying to grow, but that's literally my first dirted tank I've tried. So, and you're talking about at least 6 inches of a substrate there. Bare bottom, Levy says bare bottoms grow out tanks for ease of cleaning. Right, exactly right. Justin Howe of Ocean's Aquarium got me hooked into deep substrates. So you probably like father fish too, Gardaki. What's your next tank going to be tanked? Undergravel plate with filter floss, dirt, and sand. Very cool. Kane says no substrate is a lot of water changes to keep the bottom clear. Deep substrate with heavy plants, you don't see it, and it sinks into the substrate. This substrate with a lot of water changes to keep the bottom clean and clear. Yeah, I do see a lot of algae builds up on the bottom, like these tanks that people just put tile in. Once you got a big pleco in there cleaning it up. Deep substrate with heavy plants, you don't see it, and it sinks into the substrate. Unless you're using sand, all your crap sits on top. Which I switched. I used to do nothing but gravel, but then I switched all my tanks over to sand with the exception of one. This is so much easier to clean. Lovey says, I'm setting up 2 70-gallon bow fronts up next month, and one will be crushed coral, aragonite, and the other dye with sand cap. Lovey, why are you choosing to use coral and aragonite? You needing to raise the pH up higher? Is it going to be like an African cichlid tank? I like crushed coral, but the only thing I use crushed coral for is to raise and buffer my pH. As a substrate, unless you are capping that with sand, I'm assuming is what you were saying. Are you capping the crushed coral and aragonite with sand? You're going to put, oh, I think I see what you're saying. You're going to put crushed coral in there and cap it with the aragonite sand. Yeah, Jeff, you're right. There's a lot of different ways everyone has. There's a lot of conflicting opinions. There's a lot of different ways to, reach the goal you're after. Fatherfish's tanks, awesome way to do things, but I think that's only good for when smaller fish. I mean, I don't see how I would make a self-sustaining ecosystem with a 125 Oscar tank. There'd have to be so many plants packed in there that the fish wouldn't be able to move. I think that's okay for just like smaller fish, maybe up to 6 inches. I don't know. Definitely smaller fish like neon tetras and guppies and 2, 3, 4-inch fish. I don't see how you could make one of those fatherfish ecosystems with a tank with Oscars in it, as for an example. That's a good idea, Lovey. Now, my question to you, Lovey, is over time, your crushed coral is going to get exhausted and it's going to lose its buffering power for the pH. What are you going to do in that case? Just add some more? Or like what would the plan be there? Because eventually if you keep adding, you're going to get a super thick substrate. What's your plan for that? Hey, Coro, thanks for coming in, man. Good to see you. Now, when you replace it, I'm assuming you're just going to do a little bit at a time, like left to right. Maybe start with a little section, pull some of that crushed coral out, and add some more, and then go to the next section every couple weeks or something like that. I think you could do it salient. At 250 with 4 Oscars, I think could work. So Jeff, you think you could make one of those father fish tanks using a dirted tank cap with sand, pack it full of plants, use a lot of botanicals, and you think that you could make one of these self-sufficient ecosystems without ever having to do a water change again? I think the amount of plants it would take to even keep a 125 like that, I don't think the fish would be able to move around. Cool, Lovey. That's what I figured. Jeff thinks he can do it. Well, Jeff, I'm going to make a challenge to you, sir. I want to see it. I want to see Jeff take at least a 125 and make it self-sufficient with 2 Oscars. It would have to be a 250 gallon plus. Why not a 125? What would you do there? Would you just maybe fill half of it full of plants and leave the other half to have some more swimming space? Is that why you say 250? To be fair, I have a lot of fish in my 125 and I rarely have to do water changes. You can also hang plant. That's true, Lovey. I have potho plants and peace lilies on the top of every one of my tanks. No, I love the idea of it. I love the idea of not having to do water changes anymore. You save a ton of work. You save a ton of money on your water bill. I don't know. I doubt that I have a lot of doubts that it would work on a bigger tank. 125 and up, I feel like it would be very hard to do that, but I would love for somebody to do it and prove me wrong. Pothos are a great plant. Peace lilies suck a lot of nitrates too. Yeah, and I also had some of them spider plants in there. They didn't do good, but the pothos and peace lilies are doing great. Cora says if you have sufficient immersed growth, they'll yank a lot of the excess minerals out. How many plants do you guys think would be needed in a 125 gallon tank with 2 Oscars to make a self-sustaining ecosystem? And they aren't limited by the CO2 in your water. Why is a larger tank harder than a smaller tank, Jesse? Well, when I say larger tank, I just mean because I have 2 Oscars and a 125. I like Oscars. That's a fish that I like to keep, but I love the idea of not having to do water changes in it. I just didn't think it would be possible to have, not because of the tank size, but more so because of the size of the fish, and still be able to let them have space to swim around. How would you take a tank like that? Because I guess what I'm driving at. That's true. More surface area, more oxygen. I don't use CO2. I just get ready to care for the plants. Yeah, I don't use CO2 either. I don't use fertilizers or CO2, and all my plants are doing great.
What are you doing?
Easy to care for plants that grow really well with little maintenance. Yeah, water sprite, frog bit, um, jungle val. That's a nice hardy plant that is easy to do. Potho plants on top, peace lilies. And yeah, just doing great. And someone told me one time I was having this conversation, Coro and Jeff, with somebody else, and they said you could pack it with a bunch of plants like jungle val. That's easy to get through. Something that's not real dense and heavy. Tank says, my experience, each size tank has its own challenges. Yes, sir. Definitely. Breed tanked as well as the type of fish in it. Yep. Yeah, everything you change, everything you do, everything you put in it changes everything. You can have two identical tanks side by side, same water. Each one of them is going to show you different readings. Basically, any valve is easy to swim through. Stems can be all right too, depending. Corey, it might have been you who gave me that suggestion because I can't remember, but we were having that discussion, and I think maybe it was you who said you could put, if you were trying to make an Oscar tank self self-sustaining, maybe you could do like, if you had the potho plants on top and you had floating water sprite or a bunch of vow in there, they could easily swim through that. And plus, they probably like it because they like being hidden and don't like to be on display all the time. Is this just father fish method, or can you have a sump on the tank? I'm going to say no sump, Coro, just because I don't use sumps. I use canister and HOB filters. So that 125 is ran solely by an FX4 canister filter. And I don't have to clean that thing but every 7 months. And I never have issues in this tank. And my nitrates are always in well low, like 40 ppm and under. The only thing is, for marine tanks, the larger the tank, the more stable the water. I'll leave that up to you, Tank. I don't know nothing about salt water. Of course, says like if you did an algae scrubber down in the sump with a 24/7 purple lights on that, yeah, eliminate water changes. Purple light, is that so? What do you mean by purple light? You talking about like a UV light? Didn't know I put you on the spotlight. Give her a pumpkin seed. Get a pumpkin seed. Can you put her in her cage and give her a pumpkin seed? You still have that camera up there?
Mm-hmm.
Here's a trick. Here's a trick to the mentality. No, that bird does not want up there.
Of course not.
Here's a trick for the mentality of it. Water changes are a form of nutrient export. You can export nutrients via plants and algae too. Correct. No, like the red and blue. Okay, the grow lights. I know what you're talking about. The ugly ones that hurt your eyes. Yeah, you'd have it in a cabinet. Yeah, I got you. You can buy them. I thought about getting one for my wife when she had a bunch of plants in here, and for her plants. So you're saying if you put one of those on a sump to help grow algae, is what you're talking about, because obviously algae is going to be the same thing as a plant and help take care of stuff. And when you have a sump, you're basically adding volume to your tank. You have more water in your tank, basically, just down below. So you're talking about adding more water using a sump and growing more plants, thus not needing as many plants in the actual tank itself. Yeah, turf or hair algae. If you were smart, you could seed your water with a specific species of algae. Alga dog, Media blum. It's used for biofuel because it is of its density. Marine algae scrubbers are designed specifically for macroalgae, which don't exist in freshwater. That's an interesting idea, Cora. I like that, and I do like the idea of sumps. I mean, honestly, it's the best filters you can get. But I don't drill my tanks. I don't have any tanks that are drilled or set up for it. I really don't want to drill my freaking glass. Jeff says, so I still don't understand why people don't want to change water ever. I would rather change it as it's needed in more of a Wallstad type tank. Jeff, me too. And I could be wrong. And I mean, if you were talking to Father Fish, he'd probably tell you just don't need to. Like I was saying earlier, he keeps smaller fish. But talking with Coro here, it might be possible. I'm not arguing with you guys. I'm learning. I love talking with you guys about this stuff. Um, but I like doing my water changes. I feel like when I do water change, like so, and I even talked with Father Fish about this one time on one of his videos. But I told him, I said, when I do a water change, I see my fish visibly get more energetic. They're more happier. Uh, and of course, when you do your water changes, you're getting rid of that stagnant water. You're putting refreshed water in. It's chlorinated. I always use Prime. And but I said, I physically seen they seemed happier. And his reply was, did they seem happier, or were you seeing them racing around the tank trying to get back to normal the way it was because you did the water change and you kind of shocked them? And that's a good, valid point. But here's what I know: if I go too long without doing a water change, my fish start getting lethargic and laying around and not moving much. As soon as I do a water change, they're good for another 3 weeks, month. Oh, he says, I have no issue with water changes, but the way I set up my tank, I just generally don't need to. Very cool. Yeah, I'm learning. I like learning about this stuff. Coro, you have a wealth of knowledge on this stuff. So you want to DIY something where water flows past the mesh or something and hella lights around it to grow the algae. Like, in a dam or something, the way water runs over the rocks. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, man. I actually don't have a problem growing algae in these tanks. All I have to do is leave the lights on longer. I had to change my lighting because I was getting way too much algae in these tanks. I reduced my lighting down to 6 to 8, or about eight or so hours a day, and the algae issue went away. But I could easily grow algae in every one of these tanks if I wanted to. I do water changes sparingly, but there is an important tool in it. It is an important tool in the toolbox for sure. Tank says water changes can trigger breeding as well. You're right. That's true, Tank. It's well documented with corridors, right? Jeff says, I change the water when the TDs get out of the range I prefer and the fish look happy. If you can grow algae somewhere else instead of in your tank, that is going to remove all the nutrients and nitrates, which is why a sump would be great, at least from what I understand. Now, that makes sense, Cora. It really does. Yeah, I just don't have sumps. And I know I know that you can make your own sumps, and I know that you don't really have to drill your tanks to make a sump either. You can make your own. I mean, look at it. Look at a canister filter. What is a canister filter? It's basically a little sump that sits under your tank and water in and out. The only thing is, it's not as wide. There's not much surface. It doesn't add as much volume to your setup, and you don't have all of the filtration and stuff that you can set up in an actual sump. So I'm wondering, like, take like a canister filter, take the canister filter like motor and the hoses, and what's the sense of tearing apart a canister filter when all you need to do is get some hoses and a pump? But what I'm trying to figure out is just make like a sump without drilling the tanks. Just have the hoses hanging in, the inlet and outlet on both sides. Have you guys ever seen anything like that? Oh no. Craig had to do a 400% water change last week because his dog peed and pissed in the tank. Oh my God. I saw him letting his dog drink out of his tanks. Oh my God. Yeah, just a pond pump. I just use a pond pump, but you could tear out a canister filter. Yeah, I bet you could take like a canister filter you're not using and just make it. I'm not going to drill my tanks. If I ever get a sump, it's going to be on a tank that I've already got that was pre-drilled. I'm not afraid to do anything, but I don't want to. I'm not drilling my tanks. Hey, Collaboration, thanks for stopping by. Nah, Phantom hasn't. Well, he doesn't key in one. That's crazy. Yeah, wouldn't take much for Phantom to just swing by a tank, take piss. Look at the hang on the back overflows. They're made of acrylic. Yep. Yeah, I've seen those before. Yeah. 400% water change. What do you think? What do you think dog piss would do to your fish tank? I know you got acid. You got acid. What do you think? What do you think that would do to a tank? Where's Kiko?
She went to her cage.
Bring her out.
She don't want to.
Just as if I had a space, I would drill them. I want to flow through a trickle change system. If I had the space, I would drill through them. I want to flow through a trickle change system. Ammonia spike. Yeah, makes sense. Mammal urine is only different from fish urine in the fact that fish urine does not contain a carbon molecule. Did you Google that, or did you already know that, Tanked? Because I would have Googled. So Kiko don't want to say hello anymore?
No. She's in her cage. Huh. You're being antisocial, aren't you? Yeah. She's being antisocial.
You knew that?
After he Googled it.
You and Coro are smart. You have a lot of that information. I got to Google. I'm a bit nervous about my new tank. I'm suspicious of the seals in one corner. Going to vacuum the dust out and fill it with water today to test it out. Yeah, anytime I get a collaboration, I don't buy new tanks. All my stuff I got for either free or a very low price on Facebook market site. And that's the first thing I do. I don't even worry about cleaning it until I fill it up and let it sit for a day and make sure there's no leaks. If there's no leaks and all's good, then I go through the process of cleaning it and disinfecting it and setting it up in the house. I also paint the back of my tanks with the Krylon. I use spray paint. I don't roll it on. And then once that dries, while that's drying, I build my stands and bring them in and set them up. Keep my fingers crossed for you, Adele. Yeah, what size tank you talking about? What size tank you talking about? collaboration of curiosities. I googled it years ago. Sweet. $38 gallons. Funny, he says the thing is, you have quite a few options in starting a tank cycle. Why pee in it? I understand how it works, but why not the other way? That's funny, Bunny. Pee costs less than fish food, maybe? It's around a 34 and a half gallon. The 34 and a half gallon. There's a ton of aquariums out there. Other than your like cookie cutter tanks, your 10, your 20s, your 29 gallons, your 125 gallons, your 55 gallons, your 75 gallons. I see a lot of people advertising for sale, stuff like that, like 34 and a half, or I have a 130 gallon tank. I mean, I don't, it's like, was there a tank made for every possible gallon in the world? Human urine is free. Ew. Poor I was going to go buy some beer, piss in his tanks. She's in Australia. Oh, she's in Australia? Wait a minute. 130 liter. It's an Aqua One 130 liter. I don't know what 130. I'd have to Google what 130 liters is. Apparently, it's 38 and a half gallons. What we got going on over here? Face off with the Oscars. So let me give you guys a quick shot of my 29 gallon dirty tank I started last week. Like I said, I used the organic soil. I was looking for the mix, couldn't find it because they say mix is better in the soil, a little bit more nutrient rich or whatever. I don't know. But I got the organic soil topped with, I had to use play sand because it's the only thing I can get at the time. So let me just pan this one camera down, show this to you. It's still kind of hazy. So that was my 29 gallon dirted tank that just started. Yeah, Cora, that's what I mean. Come by this 34 and a half gallon tank. Could we not just have made it 35 gallons or? So when you hear a drug that went down 300 kilos, you're taking over 600 pounds. Let me ask you guys about these dirty tanks. I don't know if Lovey's still in here or not, um, but you guys understand it too. But when you make a thick substrate with the dirted tanks and you cap it with sand, I know that you can get just like filling a normal tank up with just regular sand. You can get some air bubbles, and I always like to go through there and just like sip my fingers through it to get the air bubbles out. Do these real thick dirted tanks with the substrate? Do they create the toxic gas bubbles? Should I like take like a wooden skewer stick and go poke around in there and release some air bubbles, or does it not matter? Hey babe, take the camera over to Keeks. I gotta get going. I'm gonna wake and bake one more time before I get ready to go. Help one of the girls walk around. All right. See you, Adele. Thanks for stopping by. Methane bubbles every great once in a while, but it would not mess with the dirt. Leave it be. Okay, cool. Thanks, Tank. Thank you, Tank. It's your birthday today, is it? Adele? Jeff doesn't worry about them. Because I'm a sucker. Sucker. Trumpet snails take care of them for me. Ah, cool. Trumpet snails dig through the soil, man, no problem. Like, I'm assuming you're using actual soil, so you got like, I don't know if you got mulch, wood chunks and stuff in there, stuff. Dig through all that, huh? They can, but there are ways around that. And also, I don't know that anyone has actually truly lost fish from. So, yeah, I read about that, Coro. I did a little research on that. People thought it was a big to do, but you know what, man? Every once in a while, I just zip my fingers through the top of my substrate, and I get some of the air bubbles out. But I heard that's a hoax. That was debunked years ago. Like people will blame fish deaths on all sorts. Yeah, except for themselves, huh, Coro? I have learned that sifting out big chunks out of the soil help reduce the release of gas bubbles. I have learned that sifting out big chunks out of the soil helps reduce. Yeah, that makes sense because you take something big out, make a little bit more room in there. The other line of thought was poke the soil often but gently in it, and you won't get big pockets of gas. Yeah, I have one of those long wooden skewer sticks, Bunny, that I would just like poking down in there. But I think I read they debunked that whole gas bubble thing years ago. It's not really an issue. I use peat moss as a first layer. Yes, Jeff, so I got a organic soil / peat moss mix in there capped with play sand. But also you can do an undergravel if you want to avoid anaerobic bacteria. Some people want the anaerobic bacteria and denitrification, in which case the plant would be eating that sulfur hydroxide. Coro, do you have a video on dirted tanks? I mix my soil with some peat moss and add some iron in the form of laterite. I do not know what laterite is. What do you mean by that, Tank? Rubber band a skewer to your gravel bag. There you go. If you really care that much, and then you can stir around the subject way back. Yeah, man. I actually have used I have one of them algae scrapers that it's like on a telescopic plastic stick and I just stick it down in there every once in a while and do that too. Sort of, but I'm honestly telling you what I've read. Just teasing, just tease it. It's an iron powder. Iron powder. I asked, I think it was Steam Thought Aquatics, what he thought of like API versus Seachem's Flourish. Liquid ferts, and he don't like really either of them. Everyone's backing up Aquarium Co-op's Simple Green. I don't use ferts in my tanks. I don't use nothing. They just grow naturally now. I used to use them. I've tried API Leaf Zone years ago, and after that, Flourish. It wasn't helping? I don't know. But I know Seachem makes that line of liquid ferts. It's got that like 3 or 4 in a pack, and you've got your iron, your Flourish, your iron, and like another one. Brightwell Aquatics has it. Laterite is an iron-rich clay of mining cast-off, depending upon whether the brand name or not. Brightwell has it. Like how Seachem has fluorite, and there's also fluorite, the crystal. Yeah, what do you guys do? I mean, if you guys were going to buy a liquid fert, what would you be wanting? Do you like the Aquarium Co-op Simple Green? I know Corey does a lot of good work with that stuff, and he basically did put the max of everything he possibly could in that in one pump. Fluorite red from Seachem 2, you could use that. Jeff Kane, he prefers root tabs. I've tried root tabs before. I think I pretty much gravel backed them out one time when I had gravel. I meant sort of on a video, like talked about building my dirted 20 long. Sort of. I'll check it out, man. Right, Coro, maybe that would be a good video for you to put out, man. I'd definitely watch it, explaining everything we've talked about here, like, you know, starting a dirted tank, top from bottom to top, the Coro way. I would buy a dry fert and mix it into my liquid, or I would buy a hydroponic store for root tabs. I use individual Osmo coat pellets, and you can put those in vegetable capsules. That's one thing Steamfot said. He said before he would use any of the liquid ferts other than Simple Green from Aquarium Co-op, he would go with the dry ferts. Too many nitrates for my tank in Easy Green. Too many nitrates for my tanks. What do you mean, Jeff? Does it cause nitrates? Does it add too much nitrates to the tank to feed the plants? Silver Creek has a good video on it. I'll check it out. Bunny hates those capsules for so many reasons. I switched to tablets. I boost up my soil with Osmo Coat. Mix it lightly, not too much. You could get algae blooms in my experience. My tanks are massively overstocked. Oof. Massively overstocked. And how often you do water change, Jeff? I can't remember what you said. Fertilizers are NPK ratios, and the N is for nitrate. Right. I used to add, like I said prior, I used to use API Leaf Zone and Seachem Flourish, but I don't ever recall it affecting my nitrates that bad. But then again, maybe that's why they don't like it, because it's kind of weak or something. I don't know. So if Easy Green has too high of an N to the P and the K, so it was causing your nitrates. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm learning so much about plants. Definitely appreciate you guys coming on and chatting with me about it. Well, it's been an hour 5. I'm going to jump off here, guys. Like I said, I certainly appreciate you guys coming on and hanging out with me for a little bit, teaching me stuff about some plants. I'm not a big plant guy, but getting on your guys' lives and watching your stuff and just chatting with you is going to definitely help me with that. The first number of nitrogen, the second is phosphate, the third number is potash. So hence 10, 10, 10 means that it is an equal ratio. 10 nitrogen, 10 phosphate, and 10 potash. Potash, sorry. Okay. Coro, and thank you, Jesse. Excited to see you delve into the more ecosystem side of the glass boxes. Jeff says, Salient, look at my 75G community tank or angel grow out tank if you get a few minutes, and you'll see what I mean by overstock. Okay, Jeff, I will. Bunny says, thanks, Jesse. Enjoyed it. Bunny, thank you for stopping by. Tank says, nitrogen is for green leaves. The second one is for flowering. On the third is for fruits, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Jeff, I'll check it out, man. Tank says that is for land-based plants. Coro says, hey, Jeff, works. Yeah, the happy plants are breeding fish. Yeah, man, I'll check it out. Yeah, I'm not afraid, Coro. You said a little bit ago, I think that was you. Yeah, decided you're delving into the ecosystem side of the glass box. Is definitely, I'm not afraid to try new things. I think that if you don't try new things, you're limiting yourself. The more stuff you get into with this hobby and any hobby is going to make you a more well-rounded person, give you more information. If we're not moving forward, we always stay right here. We're always going to stay the same. So for me, I see this is becoming bigger and bigger, and it's something I definitely want to play with. I've now set one up, and we'll see how things go. And talking with you guys, that's definitely helped. So like I said, I appreciate all your information. Can't be afraid to try new things and move forward. My dirted tanks are fairly new, but the plants have responded very well. I'm gonna watch you guys' videos to see what you do and see how you guys do things different. Coro, I'd love to see a video from you, man, on this too. And I definitely am going to check out Jeff's, and because what are we doing? We're putting actual dirt or soil in the tanks and capping them with sand, right? So obviously in that soil we got a lot of nutrients for the plants to grow. What happens when that soil runs out of nutrients? And it will, because it doesn't hold. Nothing lasts forever. So if you got 6-7 inches of soil underneath a sand cap, and that nutrients and that soil that you put in day one runs out, what do you do then? What do you dig it all up and redo it? I would imagine if you took 6 to 8 inches of a substrate out of a tank, you're going to crash it. My dirted tanks are fairly new, but the plants are responding well. Side effects, tannins. Yeah, tannins are good for tanks. They're dark if you don't mind it. Tannins are great. Dirted isn't for everyone. Maybe when I get permission for another tank, I can do that, Jesse. Coro, I got you. I understand, man. I'm trying to talk the wife into letting me put a 300-gallon right in the center of my fish room here, which is my dining room. My nano fish do very well with the tannins. Tannins are fantastic for everything. If you don't mind that dark brown look, which, let's be honest, the lights in the tanks are for us. Fish don't need the lighting, but your plants do. Coro says, "Why am I looking there?" I keep forgetting to record my stuff. Yesterday, I was lucky to be live streaming and doing it. No, not that much. I use 1 inch of soil to 2 inches of sand cap. Dude, I probably got with, I don't know if you've seen it when I showed you my dirted tank there. With the soil and the sand, I'm probably looking at 6 inches. Sand in my yard in some of my tanks. I had to do that because I lost the tube for my underground filter salient, but my pump had active media, so I didn't crash. Okay, very cool. In my case, Coro, when my nutrients run out in my soil, I just got a hang on the back filter running that thing. I got a little power head going because you like to have a little bit of flow for your plants in a tank too. What would I do when my soil nutrients run out? Because I don't run that. Of course, that I had to pull 6 inches of sand out. Ooh. Tank gives you, Coro, you can go ahead and get that tank to gave you permission to go ahead and get that. More fish or root tabs. Sorry, I was a little behind on the video. That's okay, Jeff. Yours is more yellow and brown. Yeah, that's usually that color of the freaking tannins. And what did the tannins come from, Tank? Is that, I'm used to getting tannins from driftwood, but I'm assuming that also can come out of your soil as well. Exactly. The hang in the back has just enough bacteria to keep your tank going if needed to. Okay, I got you. Yeah, and I got a fairly big one running at 29 gallons. It'll go up to a 60-gallon tank. But we all know how these filters go and what they're marketed for ratings for. Like, take an FX4. They say it'll do up to 220 gallons. Well, by the time you add your media and you actually use it and it starts getting clogged up, you can just cut that number in half of how many gallons it will actually filter. The dirt? Okay. Alexander Williamson has a whole series on the deep dives of tannins, but tannins are compounds that dissolve out of the leaves and woods and things to make tannic acid. But isn't humic acid something they... But isn't humic acid something they talk about in soil too? Don't know what the difference is, but tannins is likely improperly used in the aquarium hobby as a large catch-all phrase. Yeah, that's Cora. I don't know, man. So, what are you guys saying? You think that like tannins? That I think most of us in the hobby, when we refer to tannins, we're talking about the stuff that leaches out of driftwood. Because I don't think there's too many people into the dirty tanks and stuff like that. And I think Jeff was saying that you could also get the tannins out of your soil or your dirt. Yeah, Jeff, I hate that, man. It's like, what are you paying for? like when we talk about tannins and humic acid and TDs, we're actually talking about the huge group of chemical compounds called DOCs. Dissolved organic compounds, right? Tannins just happen to be DOCs that tint your water. Makes sense. Just like the sky is only blue because blue is the color that's most reflected, correct? Read about the Wallstead method here. I'll share a link. Okay, Cora, I got you, man. You guys are a book of knowledge. One thing about me, fellas, is I do like to keep things simple. I don't think that I think people have made this hobby a little bit more complicated than it needs to be. What are we doing? We're filling glass boxes full of water and keeping fish. You got to make sure your tank's cycled. The best way to do that is get established media from an already established filter, right? Or add some substrate in there to help boost it. By far the best number one way to be able to add fish same day. Okay, you can do that, but when you do that, what you have is a cycled weak tank. You don't have a cycled strong tank yet. It hasn't matured. But once you get there, you can keep fish, and as long as you don't crazily overstock it or clean it too much or think too much and always have your hands in it. Like, let's not get into our canister filters and clean them every week. I can go 7 months without cleaning my filter, and I never have issues in these tanks. I can go a month without doing a water change, and I never have nitrates exploding. All my fish are colorful, big, happy, healthy. They're doing great. I also feed them good food. That's important. An important part of it too. You don't need to be. You're going to feed junk food unless that's the only thing they'll eat. I mean, the best food is really. What's the best food to feed your fish? The food they're going to eat. You can have the best food in the world and they might not eat it. So then you're going to get some wardley and they'll eat it up. Same with your dog. Like, you can give your dog fresh water, but he'll go over the pond and take a drink and won't even touch the water in his bowl. Well, there's a reason behind that. The dog is smarter than us. He knows that pond water is better for him than the shit coming out of your tap. So yeah, as long as I've been keeping fish, I always believe in that, man. Keep things simple. The less you do, the best. Keep your hands out of it. Let things grow. Don't clean too much. The human clean version of a tank is not what a tank should be. Let's not scrub everything. I learned that the hard way years ago with my first 55-gallon tank. I cleaned way too much and it crashed. Ammonia spike. Then what's next? Nitrites. Tank my sister got me in Wallstein book for Christmas. Tank doesn't cycle his tanks. Tank, not a single death in 5 years. So what do you do? What do you do, Tank? Just fill them up, dechlorinate the water and throw the fish in? Dirt is your pre-cycled media. Oh, I got you. Nitrosomosis and nitrobacteria variants live in the soil. Yep. So basically, like Coro said, you don't cycle your tank, but you're getting it from the dirt you got in there, and it's basically an insta cycle, same as taking good established bacteria from another filter, I'm assuming. How anyone keeps their fish should be how they want to, as long as they're intentionally killing the fish. Yeah, Jeff, you're 100% right, man. Yeah, and I like what you guys do. I like the way you guys are doing this and where you're going about. I don't know how long it's been around keeping fish this way. I'm assuming a long time. You got Father Fish, who's like 80 years old, and he's been doing this quite a long time. So obviously, it's been around longer than I've been alive. So the fact that you guys are delving into this and doing it this way is awesome. I'm definitely watching your stuff, and I'm definitely a fan, and I'm definitely learning. And I appreciate you guys again coming on here and sharing your knowledge with me and anyone else who may be listening. Tank's on well water, so I don't have chlorine and chloramine fish tank, but I put the fish in done. Oh, that's awesome, man. So you don't have to worry about it, I'm assuming, because you use the dirted tanks and you got all the natural bacteria you need in there. Yeah, and more genetically diverse than what you get from a bottle usually. Yeah, that's true, Cora. Like, yeah, I mean, you're probably talking about, what are you talking about there, Cora? Like good bacteria in a bottle. You know, your Fritzzyme 7, your Seachem stability. Aquarium bacteria is a ripoff. Jesse, you want to save money on bottle bacteria? You can get us all sorts of specific species for whatever parameters at the septic supply or wash water treatment websites. I agree with you, Cora. Man, I don't use it. I fell into that trap when I first started, but I don't buy liquid ferts anymore. I got some videos out using it. I think it does help, but just like your filters, I believe they're overrated. LRB style, Fatherfish style, Co-op style, Fishery style, Bentley style, Fishes style. They all work well for them, but might not work for you and me. What is your style, Jeff? Is it are you like, well, obviously you're sort of like, let's take Father Fish for example. You guys kind of do his method, or do you do it a little bit different? Dirt, no dirt, fill and put critters in, but I don't overstock, and I have nano fish, like they don't get over 2 inches. Oh, okay. How many tanks do you have, Tank? You can buy non-sulfurous anaerobic bacteria and bacteria that survive in super acidic situations and such. Yeah, there's all kind of bacteria out there, man. How about that? I can't remember the name of that thing they sent to space that can go without eating for like crazy amount of years and still live. Which is, I think it's essentially some kind of a bacteria. I think if you were running a true blackwater tank that was 4.0 pH, you might want to buy bacteria. But beyond that, it's better to scoop sludge at the bottom of a pond or put dirt in your something. Yeah, that's like Father Fish style, Coro. He's all about that. Dead crap, nasty stuff in your tank, and you're good to go. I mean, look if you have a septic system outside of your house and you don't have public sewage, that's essentially the same thing. There's bacteria in those tanks that break down the other bacteria that keep your septic going. Same thing in a fish tank. Tank has 6 tanks going to 7 this week. And what's your biggest tank you have, Tank? And Cora, out of curiosity, what's the biggest size tank you have? Long. I got 2 20 longs. I have 2 125s. I have 2 75s, 2 55s, a 29, and 2 20-gallon longs running. I like the bigger tanks, man. Don't get me wrong. A 20-gallon long, I love that footprint. The same with the 33 longs. Love that low, big footprint because, longer the tank is better than high because you get more surface area for better oxygen exchange. I'm a mutt. I weigh overstock, so I have to compensate some ranks with external filters, but prefer air filtration, sponge filters, and gravel filters. I got you. It all works, man. It always going to get you there. I run nano tanks right now, but I had a big turtle pond system with Oscars and plecos years ago. Oh, very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I like my big fish, man. Don't get me. I like all the fish. I wish I could have 500 tanks and have all the fish I want to keep, but it's just not possible. So I just got as many tanks as I could get to accommodate the fish I like to keep. I like my tiger barbs. I like my Oscars. I like my angelfish. I like my blood parrots, and I like Bunas. I do want to make an actual like peas and haps tank, or like maybe just a peacock tank or a South American tank. And I do like my little neon tetras. But trouble is, every time you go to the store, you guys know you want to try that one, you want to try that one, you want to try that one, but you only have so much room for so many tanks. You're only allowed to have so much. And with the increased cost today, I don't know how some of these guys afford the water and electric bills to run 150 to 300 tanks. I don't know how they do it. Mine are 6 gallons, 5. Okay, Tank, do you keep beta? Coro and Tank, do you guys keep betas? Because that's all I have in those 20-gallon longs right now is beta fish. I had full filter stand full of 1K of K1 media and 3 75-gallon tanks laid together to make a square and a free-form pond for the turtles, all in the same system. Oh, that's cool, man. Very cool. Tank doesn't have any betas right now. You guys going to get betas? Is that something you're interested in? I got 2 females and 2 males. 3 of them were rescues. I didn't ask for them. I saved them. Two 5s, 2 75s currently with a 125 waiting for a spot that should be a little over 20 tanks. Jeff, damn, 20 tanks, man. I'm running 10 to 11. And honestly, that's enough for me. I do want one big tank, like my dream tank would be a 300 or a 500-gallon tank. But if I got a 3 to 500-gallon tank, I would probably shut down every one of my little tanks, because maintaining all those tanks, like I said, your water bill goes up, your electric bill goes up, more time has to go into it. I wouldn't want to run any more than 10 tanks. 22. Jeff got 22 set up. Daggone. Tank says, come on, man. Why ain't this doing this? My next fish I'm working on is a Nanostromus mortonfileri, the color red pencil fish. I might have to look that up, man. I don't think I've ever seen that. Pencil fish, emerald resboras, pygmy catfish, Danio, kite. You guys know all the scientific names too, man. I can't. Same with the cichlids. I can't remember all those dang names. Rusty, ACI, Bumblebee. I got that. Coro's buying a DC water and better air pump to save on power long term. You can get one of them, Coro. Is that one of them linear air pumps you're talking about? My tanks are cheaper on electric than one kid and one raised, and I raised 3 of them. Yeah. I noticed a significant, well, since I do my water changes every 3 weeks to every month, the water bill isn't that bad. It's not the water I'm concerned with, but the electric bill, man. Like, I was watching Ohio Fish Rescue's last video, and he was talking about his electric bills being $1,600 a month at the highest. And they actually looked at the solar power option. I talked to Josh on a comment through one of their videos because I mentioned saving power for them going solar, but they looked into it, and you only save power going solar 3 months out of the year. And for him, it's not worth investing the startup cost to only save 3 months out of the year. Yeah, Jeff, the linear ones. Linear, always linear. Not yet. I don't have enough tanks to justify the linear piston pumps, but I needed a better one to run the super lifters for a Matten filter. I'm trying to replace the power heads on the underground. So you guys got me there too. I'm all HOBs and canisters and power heads, man. Hey, June, thanks for coming. June's in here. I'm going to give her a shot of my Oscars again. Look at that son of a bitch talking. What's he talking about? Stop that gibbering. What's that? Look at him. Look. Does that all day long, June. Runs into him all day long like that. Did you see that? Look at that badass. Look at him. Look at his face. Look, he don't give a shit about nobody. We'll see how that works out. I have a bunch of boxes coming this week. Cool, coral. Plants and pumps and beetles. Nice. Beetles. Can you take the beetles you get outside, them big mother effers, and put them in a tank? I don't think so. They drown. That's what he said. I'll give these guys a little treat for you. They love the omega-1 freeze-dried shrimps. I feed mostly extreme aquatics food, but they love those the shrimp. I also got some frozen foods I give them periodically. I got the beef heart, the spirulina, and the bloodworms. June, I dumped some subs on Fantastic to try and encourage him to pick up 2 bumblebee Oscars. Yeah, June, I'd like to get me some. I like my Oscars, but I keep them in their own tank. They got a 125 to themselves, and that one you're looking at right now, Mr. Milo, look at him, he's a bully. I bumped my arm on the side of the tank and it scared him and he hit his head on the back glass. Bumblebee cichlids, or bumblebee Oscars. Let's look this up. June, I think I've seen that. You have some bumblebee Oscars, don't you, June? Yeah, those are cool. I was trying to talk to him into all 4, but I hope he's spawned. What would you guys pay for a bumblebee Oscar? I'm curious. Aqua Imports wants $40 for a bumblebee Oscar. What a waste to have one. Who pays money for Oscars? I'd get it. Me, I had to buy mine, Cora. If you get on Live Aquaria, they want $20 for a tiger Oscar. They want $12.99 for a red Oscar. They want $25 for a lemon Oscar. The long fins, they want $25. They got zebra Oscars at $30. The albinos at $16. Those zebra Oscars are cool. I might have one of those. June, do you have any zebra Oscars? They're free on Craigslist all the time with a bonus 55 gallon. That's funny, Cora. I know what you're talking about, man. I was on Live Aquaria June, and I seen they had zebra Oscars. They're really cool looking, man. Well, all right, guys, I'm going to jump off here. It's been like an hour and 36 minutes. Certainly appreciated chatting with you guys and learning all the information you hit me with. June, everybody, Jeff, Tanked, Coro. Thank you guys for stopping by and supporting me and hanging out with me and dropping that knowledge. And I'll definitely be sure to get on and check that video out that you made, Jeff, Coro. And Tanked, I'm challenging you to get a 125-gallon tank the next time you're allowed a tank and make it a self-sustaining ecosystem and show me proof. I want to see it. I want to see it. You too, Cora. I would have Flying Fish Express before Foster and Smith bought it. I bought some fish off Live Aquarium one time, but they were just little like white cloud minnows. I think maybe it was you, Jeff. I can't remember. One of you guys have to make a self-sustaining 125-gallon ecosystem with 2 Oscars in it. All right, guys. Check you later. Thanks again. Have a good rest of your Sunday night or whatever day it is for you. And be safe. I'll see you back here next Sunday around 3:30. I'm going to start doing it every Sunday at 3:30. We're going to get into some other things and maybe figure out some games or something and do some trivias and things like that. So, we'd certainly love everybody's company. Dang, Coro, heck yeah. Coro, confident. That's good. Confidence is good. If there's ever a fish not to try, a 0 water change system on it. That's why I wouldn't do Oscars. Yeah, Coro, I agree, man. Discus and angels, yeah. All right, guys, I'll check you later. I gotta go. We got dinner soon. So thanks again. Catch you next Sunday at 3:30. Come here. We'll have some different footage of different tanks next time. We'll get the Mbunas in there and some blood parrots and things like that. And we'll just chat some more about plants and whatever you guys feel like talking about. Thanks again.